If the death of Barbara Kendhammer was just a simple car accident, then the answer to this question should be really easy. Did something happen at home? But listen to how her husband, Todd, doesn't say no.
Something happened at home?
No.
Okay.
Nothing happened at home.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing happened at home.
Okay.
I have absolutely no reason. I have no reason to do this to my wife. None.
Welcome to Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If you're new to this, what I do here is different from anywhere else because every time I strip away everything apart from the words that are said by the person at the centre of the story. And then I look for the truth hidden inside those words. It's a process that I use with investigators, corporate clients, and with the media to get a deep understanding of what is being said. And we're going to look at the police interrogation of Todd Kendhammer. Now, Todd's wife, Barbara, well, Todd says she died in a tragic accident, but the police, they don't quite buy that story, as we are going to see as we look at this police interrogation of the guy. Barbara is dead, that's the one fact we know, but what exactly happened to her, that's up in the air until the police get suspicious, and we will look at the words that he uses. So as we're getting a police interrogation, I want you to watch for a few things from Todd as he's talking. Look for stutters and stammers. In fact, I can't say this guy doesn't actually have a natural stammer because, man, he stutters a lot, but they do show that he is feeling stress. Watch for negative statements. That's when someone tells you what isn't happening or what they're not feeling rather than what did happen or what they do feel. And also look at what's missing. What would we expect to see from someone like Todd talking that he just forgets to mention? Let's go inside this police interrogation with Todd. Now, I'm not going to tell you what he claims happened to his wife. This is him telling his story, and I want you to see if you can work out what it is that Todd is claiming happened to his wife.
You and Barb got in a car and
We left our house. I don't remember what time it was. Maybe 7:30, 7:45, somewhere in there. And we headed out, went across the Osmus Road up to M, and started going up M, and I wasn't paying attention as to who was coming at me or what. We always just talk, and she always takes a thing of water, but we go in the car. And
where were you going?
up over at Holman, up by Holman, and we were, I don't know what kind of, how it looked like a bird coming at us at first, like one of them swallows or something.
Sure.
And then it come through the windshield. I tried to reach out for it, I guess, I don't know. And
How did you try to reach out for it?
I lunged harder with, I tried to hold on to the, I tried to hold on to the wheel, I think, with my right hand, and lunge harder with my left, but I think I ended up going with both hands, because when I turned on the Cooler Road, I was over, I don't think I was in my, I think I was more on her side of the seat than my side of the seat.
Okay.
And I don't, from then, I mean, I think, I don't know for sure, but I think I didn't know that she was hurt bad at first.
Okay.
And I remember seeing her, realizing what was going on.
Just as an experiment there, if you've heard that, maybe you need to go back and listen to it again. Tell me how you think he's claiming Barbara died. from the words that he uses, let me know in the comments. So this is the very beginning of that police interview. By the way, if you can't see this, if you're just listening to this and you can hear a rhythmic sound all the way through, that's his leg shaking and banging against the floor. This guy is stressed and nervous, as we can hear from the stutters and the stammers. Like I said, he may actually have a stammer when he talks. He stammers that much all the way through this interview, or he's under a lot of stress and trying to find the right words to get out because he feels that stress. One of the reasons we feel stressed, we're lying. The restarts would be something that are slightly different because that isn't something that comes naturally. That's when he says something, stops halfway through, thinks better of it, and says something else. That's an indication he is picking his words and the story he tells very, very carefully. So let's look at it word for word. The detective says, you and Barb get in the car and ... And what I notice here is he mentions himself and Barb as we at the centre of this. That suggests jointness, that suggests unison. Married couples very often talk about we when they do things together. But that's going to change at some point, so I'm going to draw attention to his pronouns. We left our house, he says. We headed out. Two we phrases in there. But he's asked, you and Barb got in the car and we left our house, is what he said. And then he talks about the time. I don't remember what time it was, maybe 7:30, 7:45, somewhere in there. He wasn't asked about the time at all. He was asked, you got in the car and what happened, is the tenet of the question there. But he doesn't say what happened. He says, we left the house, and then he gives us the time. Now, it's quite a vague time. It's 7:30, 7:45, somewhere in there. It's a large time frame that he leaves himself open to there. And it's very important for him to say that because it's nearly the first thing he says. When he's been asked what happened, he gives the time it happened. Why is that? I don't know right now, but I've got some things going. Is this a cover story? Is this not the time they left the house, but the time he wants everyone to believe they left the house? It seems to be really important for him to get across this time frame there. So he says, we left our house. He gives these times and we headed out. Now he's left the house twice. We left our house and we headed out twice. He's repeating actions in here. This says to me, possibly a constructed story. And while he's pulling together in his head in real time, what are the things that I need to say here? He's sticking with things that make him feel comfortable, which is something he's already said. We left our house. We headed out. He carries on. Went along the hospice road up to M, and that started going up M, and then he says, I wasn't paying attention as to who was coming at me or what. We always just talked, and she always takes this thing, and I think it might be a drinking water bottle of water or something that he's describing when we go in the car, and lots of what he says, and especially in this bit, fades out. And but let's break down some more of that. I wasn't paying attention as to who was coming at me. Let's look at those pronouns there. Now, you might have got from this that he's saying something came at the car, but it's a who here that he's saying is coming at him. And just when you think about driving along, what is coming at you? That could be cars coming the other way, but he's not going to claim a car came the other way and hit them. Who was coming at me or what? And then he gives two generalizations. Now, he's not specifically talking about the car journey he claims to have had here. He's talking in general terms. We always just talked. This is him wanting to say, I wasn't paying any attention to the rest of the road because we were talking. That's the impression that he wants to give. But it's not what he says. He talks in general. He doesn't talk about this specific occasion and say, we were talking. He says, we always just talked. And she always takes the thing of water when we go in the car. Again, this has got, the thing of water has got nothing to do with anything that he's spoken about. It's not about what happened on the journey. It's not any reason why he wasn't paying any attention to anything else on the road, but he wants to place this thing of water or whatever it is inside the car. Although, just like with we always talked, it's only she always takes this thing when we go in the car. The next question from the police is, where were you going? And he doesn't directly answer that question. He doesn't give where were you going a destination answer. He gives a route answer. He says, up, or Holman, by Holman, and then we were, I don't know what. So we get not a lot of information there. We don't get where they were going. We get the route there. And notice then he says, and she, and he's going to talk about her individually, but then decides better of that, restarts and says, we were. And then he gives up on that. We were doing what together? You know, that we pronoun joint, doing something together. But he runs out of steam here. He fades away again. We were, I don't know what. I don't know what kind of, and then there's something unclear. And this is him suddenly talking about what was coming towards them. It looked like a bird coming at us at first, like kind of swallows or something. Interesting description here. It looked like a bird, singular, coming at us at first, and I can picture a bird, something that looks like a bird coming towards a car. Absolutely fine, I can picture that. Like kind of swallows or something. Well, swallows are lots of birds, more than one bird. In fact, I think we all know what a flock of swallows looks like. You know, that's something that's very different from a bird coming at you. So this is not a very clear description of what was coming towards the car at all. It looked like a bird coming at us at first, like kind of swallows or something. Now that gets really vague. Kind of swallows or something. And then it just, so we've got that word just there, which indicates deception could be happening. If I get one thing across to everyone in 2026, be wary of the word just. When someone says just, they seem to be hiding something a lot of the time. Then it come through the windshield. I tried to reach out for it. I guess, I don't know, and it fades away again here. It is just this thing coming towards them that's a singular bird or a flock of swallows, looks like them kind of or something, but he's now one thing again. It's it. It just it came through the windshield. I tried to reach out for it. I guess, I don't know, and man, this guy is really testing me here. Now, that phrase, reach out, was an interesting one to me. So something came towards the windshield. In fact, did he say something? It came through the windshield. Yeah, it came through the windshield, and he tried to reach out for it. Not catch it, stop it. I mean, I don't know what it is at this moment that's come through the windshield, but he tried to reach out for it, which is quite slow in movement, isn't it? I reached out for it rather than grab, catch, whatever, that's slightly faster, which is what I would expect in this fast-moving story. How did you try and reach out for it? Asks the detective. And he stutters a lot here. I lunged. And I think he might say after that, I lunged harder. But he does say I lunged there. So all of a sudden we have reached and then we have lunging, which is two slightly different things. Lunge is fast and lunge is also maybe like not overreaching, but reaching far. Lunging, going more than normal, whereas reaching is kind of reaching what you can touch in front of you. I lunged. I tried to hold on to the... Doesn't say what. I tried to hold on to the, again, he doesn't say what, one, I think, with my right hand and lunged harder with my left. So he thinks he used his right hand. He thinks he used his left hand. He lunged harder with that left hand. But I think I ended up going with both hands. And I want you to remember that. I think I ended up going with both hands to lunge and reach for whatever this thing is. Because when I turned on Holman Road, I was over, I don't think I was in my, I think it was more, I was more in her side of the seat than my side of the seat. And I set out from there. I mean, I think, I don't know for sure. But I think I didn't, I didn't know that she was hurt bad at first. So we have the lunging, you know, and it was, how did you try and reach? I lunged, that's fine. But then he gets a movement of position going over the seats, although it's not described very fluidly, and lots of I don't knows and I thinks there before, again, this peters out and then comes back to her being hurt. I didn't know that she was hurt bad at first. Okay, says the detective, which is understatement there. And he finishes off this part by saying, and I don't remember. I remember seeing her, realizing what was going on. So this is an interesting pull out here. He was going to say he didn't remember something. I don't remember. I remember seeing her and realizing what was going on. I'd like to know what it was he was going to claim that he didn't remember. But it's as if he's telling two stories in his head, but only letting one of those stories out when he's actually using his voice. So in that first part there, I mean, I can tell you that he is stressed. He is very, very stressed from the stuttering and the restarting. He's choosing his words very carefully. He feels under pressure. He's vague. very vague. Lots of don't know somewhat stuff round about there. I see storytelling elements in what he's saying there as well. That thing of fitting in the time, fitting in what she had in the car with her, and the double actions there as well of saying things happened more than once. And he fades out so often. He starts saying something, but it doesn't seem to be very committed to it, and he fades out and it dribbles away at the end. So let's get some more from him then. And I'm going to give you the story now because he didn't mention the crucial word of what he says came through the windshield and killed Barbara. It was a pipe. He claims there was a truck ahead, a pipe fell off that and came flying through the windshield, and that's what killed Barbara. But his story doesn't add up in many ways to these police detectives. I know they're going to push him on that. And if you thought he faded away before and had lack of commitment, listen in this next extract for the pause, this silence, while he decides what it is that he can say next.
Do you recall how your hands all got cut up?
This, I think, is from the windshield.
Okay. How did that happen?
I'm assuming I must have tried to lunge for the pipe, I'm assuming. I don't know what else. I tried to, when I realized what it was, I lunged over and forward.
Okay.
And more so with this hand, because I was holding the wheel with this hand. I always drive with one hand usually, but...
And how did they get cut on the windshield?
What's that?
How did your hands get cut on the windshield? How did your hands get... You said on the windshield. I guess the glass was shattered, or...
I lunged forward and over to try and block it or stop. I don't know what.
You hit your fist came in contact
My
with
fist
the windshield?
I hit the windshield.
Okay.
And that's how I had that little bruise here, I think, because I must have laid over, tried to go over, but I'm assuming I didn't know I had the bruise.
Okay.
It wasn't nothing that's,
There was nothing that...
I don't know what, I mean, I'm just guessing that that's what happened with that. It wasn't a big, I don't bruise easy. And I'm assuming that's, I mean, from when I realized, and I didn't know it was a pipe, I didn't know what it was, but I realized it was something that was going to come through the windshield.
The detective asks him, do you recall how your hands got all cut up? He says, this, I think, is from the windshield. So we've got vagary again. Also, maybe qualification. And I can't see his hands, and I don't know what's on his hands, but is he only looking at one part of his hands or a finger or something like that with this? Not how my hands in general got all cut up. This, I think, is from the windshield, is what he says. I want you to remember that explanation, from the windshield. How did it happen? And again, he gets really vague. I tried to. I'm assuming I must have tried to lunge for the pipe. We've got that word lunge again going on there. Lunge is a repeated concept of his. And I'm wondering, he says it that often, did he lunge, but not at a pipe? Did he lunge at something else, i.e. Barbara? To lunge for the pipe, I'm assuming, I don't know what else. It's just rubbish. How did your hands get all cut up? Tell us, surely you remember when your hands were not cut up and afterwards when they were cut up. More vagueness. I tried to, when I realized what it was, I lunged over and forward. Now, lunging comes with over a lot as well. So I'm wondering if he lunged over towards Barbara, but not to save her from a pipe, but at another time or for another reason. Then he talks about how he lunged, and more so with this hand, because I was holding the wheel with this hand. I always drive with one hand usually, but now, remember he said both hands earlier. Well, now he's saying that one was on the wheel and I was lunging with another hand because I always drive with one hand usually. Although, again, it's not specific about this event here. It's just I always drive with one hand, and then usually as well. As I say, when people talk in absolutes, don't believe them. And here he's just talked in an absolute, saying I always drive with one hand, and then ruined that absolute, ruined that always by saying usually. But How did they get caught on the windshield? Asked the detective, because what he said was, my hands got caught on the windshield. How? I lunged for the pipe, which is not the same thing as the windshield. I could get if he said I lunged for the pipe and glass was flying towards me, or it was attached to the windshield glass was attached to the pipe or something like that. But he's not saying that. So he's asked, how did they get caught on the windshield? And his response is, what's that? I don't believe he didn't hear them there. I think he's showing so many deceptive signs here. He is now asking a question in response to a question to buy himself thinking time. I don't have the right answer to this question. I need to buy myself some time because I need to form the words in my head and send them to my mouth. So I'm going to buy that time by asking the guy to repeat himself. So he's asked, how did they get caught in the windshield? What's that? He says. The detective repeats the question. How did your hands get caught in the windshield? And he still doesn't have an answer left, and he stutters. What? The detective asks again. How did your hands get? You said on the windshield. I guess on the, I guess was the glass shattered, or the detective is doing his work for him. But he still doesn't take it. He says again about lunging. I lunged forward and over to try and block it or stop I don't know what. All the vagary here to stop it. And I don't know what. I lunged forward and over. I really think this guy lunged, just not the way he says he lunged. But he's asked about the windshield and he still cannot say how his hand got cut from the windshield. The detective asks him, and you mean your fist came into contact with the windshield? And he says, my fist hit I hit the windshield, so my fist hit there, then it's just I hit the windshield. And then he goes on to explain a bruise, which he hasn't been asked about before, but it's important for him to explain this bruise as well. And that's how I had that little bruise here. Notice that's not how I got that bruise, which is what you would say if the pipe hit you. I don't know where the bruise is, but if the pipe hit you or you hit yourself as you were trying to stop the pipe, that's how I got the bruise, because the bruise wasn't there before and then you got it. But he says, and that's how I had that little bruise here. I think because I leaned, I must have laid over, so we've got that repetition of over again, tried to go over, but I'm assuming I didn't know I had the bruise. It wasn't nothing that's then there's that 12-second pause. He fades away. He's realizes when he talks it's so qualified. I'm assuming, I don't know, it wasn't nothing that's 12-second pause before the detective says, there's nothing that what? And he says, I don't know what. I mean, I'm just guessing that's what's happened with that. It wasn't a big, I don't bruise easy. Absolute shower of hot air. Nothing in there of any substance whatsoever. But he carries on, and I'm assuming that's. I mean, from when I realised, I didn't know it was a pipe. I didn't know what it was, but I realised something that was going to come through the windshield. Now this is kind of gibberish, and it's not asked for. It's got nothing to do with the question, which was about his hand, and then explain a little bit more about the bruise. But for me, this is a story that he has invented. He knows the talking points. Lying's really hard. You invent a story in your head, but then when someone starts asking you other questions around it, and you haven't covered those points off when you've made the lie, it gets really hard. You need a lot of brain power to answer the question. It's dead hard. So what he's doing here, I think, is avoiding these new thoughts that he's been asked to come up with and going to the story that he has come up with in his head about the pipe coming through the windshield. So here in that part, he is lying and buying thinking time. Do not believe this story at all, and I hope you don't either. I believe his hand got cut from lunging and moving forward and over, but not on the windshield. Now, if you're interested in Todd Kendhammer and the words that he uses, I believe there was a trial and he testified at his trial and was cross-examined at his trial. If you would like me to look at that as well so we can see how he lies on the stand, then do let me know. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do more on Todd. I also see signals as well that you don't see in the behind the scenes. So things like the amount of times that an episode is shared, the amount of times that an episode is liked versus how often it's watched, then I will know you are interested in this story and the words of Todd Kendhammer. So if you want any more of that, do let me know in the comments, but press the like button, share it with other people, and that will be a signal to me to do more content like this on Todd. Shall we go back into that police interview room and hear more from him now?
So the pipe isn't something that caused these injuries. That's what we need you to tell us about.
I'm
Something happened At
No,
home?
no,
Okay.
nothing happened at home.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing happened at home.
Okay.
I have absolutely no reason, I have no reason to do this to my wife. None.
We've both been married for several years. I've been married just about as long as you have been. There's no perfect marriage.
And I understand that, and you can ask my kids.
If there's
You ask my kids.
okay.
There is absolutely, we have a,
We're not saying that you don't love her.
and I'm not saying that either, but I'm saying that there'd be absolutely no reason why I would, and why would I go out at 7:45 or 8 o'clock in the morning when everybody's going to work on a place like that and do something like this? I mean, there's so many places a person could, if it was going to do something like that, a person could do it. I don't get why.
Always handy to have your phone on loud when you're in a police interrogation fighting for your life, I find. So the pipe isn't something that caused these injuries the police guy puts to him. He tells him outright, this didn't happen through a pipe. And we can hear the stuttering again. He's whoa, whoa. And that's what you need to tell us about, says the detective. I'm, says Todd. He has nothing concrete to say. He's floundering here. And the detective says to him, something happened at home. Now, you might have heard Todd say no. The placement of that first no is huge because it happens in the middle of the question. Something happened, no, at home, and that first no interrupts the question. He doesn't want to let that question get out. He doesn't want to let that question breathe. He doesn't want to give that question air. He wants to shut it down by saying no. That quite often happens when we've got a prepared answer. Now, this obviously is just a really quick denial that he's giving there, but when someone interrupts a question, they want to shut that question down. They don't even want the full question to come out, and that's what's going on here. Something happened, no, at home. No, nothing happened at home, okay? And then he uses one of my favourite words, and I want to eradicate this word from ever being believed again, the word absolutely. Absolutely nothing happened at home. There is, I have absolutely no reason, I have no reason to do this to my wife. None. That word absolutely appears in deception so often. In this case, it's a persuasive use of absolutely. It's not just nothing happened at home, it's absolutely nothing happened at home. Think of him like a salesman, not just saying this will get your laundry white, this will get your laundry absolutely white. That's what a salesman does. They use words like that to convince you their product is amazing, that the thing they're selling is worth having. And when he uses absolutely here, he's selling his lie. Absolutely nothing happened at home. There is, I have absolutely no reason. Again, we've got that absolutely. I have no reason means the same thing as I have absolutely no reason, but he's selling you laundry detergent. Again, I have absolutely no reason. And then look at some of the real curious wording around this. I have absolutely no reason. Present tense. Right now, as I'm sitting talking, I have no reason to kill my wife. It's not I had no reason to do that. I had, past tense, at the time, I had no reason to kill my wife. I have, and he says it again, no reason to do this to my wife. None. And the word do is very instructive there. To do is real active word. So I've no reason to do this to my wife. So, what he's saying, nothing happened to his wife. There was not a doing, it was a happening, if that makes sense, that something came through the windshield and killed her. And what he's doing here, he is denying that something happened at home. It's not very strong denial, as we'll come to, but he's saying something happened, something was done to her with this. I had no reason to do this to my wife. None. So he tells us, by the way, what didn't happen. Nothing happened at home. He doesn't say what did happen. He doesn't say this was a car accident. This was the pipe that came through the window. And also, I have no reason to do this to my wife. It's not the same as It didn't happen. I didn't do it. We all do things for which there are no reason to do. Think about that extra drink you had one night where you had no reason to want it. You had had a great night. You had no reason to want just one more drink, but you had one. Think about that lying in bed. I had no reason to lie in bed that day, but man, it was great. Things happen for no reason all the time. No reason is really, really weak defense for doing something to your wife. The detective tries to get some empathy going by saying, we've both been married for several years. I've been married for about as long as you have been. There's no perfect marriage. And he says, and I understand that. I'm living that. Or just, I understand that. And you can ask my kids. You can ask my kids. There is absolutely, there's that word again. He's selling you laundry detergent. There is absolutely, we have a. So again, he just fades off. Ask the kids what? You could ask the kids. They'll say that we got on brilliantly, or there was no tension between us, or there was nothing up between us, or anything like that. He doesn't finish that thought off. It's just ask the kids. And then we have a. He doesn't finish that. He can't bring himself to say we have a great relationship or we have a very good marriage. He couldn't bring himself to saying any of those things. The detective says, we're not saying that you don't love her. And he says, and. Does he remind you of Joe Pesci in some films here, by the way, when he does that? And. I'm not saying that either, but I'm saying there'd be absolutely no reason why. No reason why. So we have absolutely again, and also this no reason. It doesn't take a reason. It's not, I didn't do this, or it's not, this is what happened. It's absolutely no reason why I would, and why would I go out at 7:45 or 8 o'clock in the morning when everybody's going to work on a place like that and do something like this? I mean, this is going back to the timings again. Which is, remember at the very beginning, you mentioned timings unasked for. He's brought up timings again, unasked for. So again, what didn't happen? The times come back. And why would I do something like this? You'll notice he's asking them questions again. I think he's wanting them to do some talking, them to answer his questions. So he has to stop answering their questions. But do something like this again. It should be something like that. Because it's an allegation that's been put to him. It should be distant and far from him if he didn't do it. Why would I do something like that? But it's like this. He's talking about something much closer, much more experienced by him. And then he goes, what? I mean, there's so many places a person could, it was going to do something like that. A person could do it. I don't get why. We've just got more of his mishmash word salad and it all fades away. And then talk about Saved by the Bell. Then his phone rings and that really sensitive part finishes for him. So listen here, he gives no strong denial to what is being put to him there at all. There's no reason why is not the same thing as it didn't happen. But he has given a lot of thoughts. The reasons why he didn't do it, they're stated clearer than the pipe story. This, the timings, I actually know very clearly what timings he said that he left the house at, compared to lunging over forward, how my hand got broken, or my hand got cut, all those sorts of things. They're all kind of vague enough in the air there, but that time that he did it and why would I do this, all stated a hell of a lot clearer there. Now, Todd is about to drop a massive clanger. It's maybe one of the biggest tells I have seen in a police interrogation in a long, long time. Let's see if you can spot it in real time when he says it. It is coming up next. Let's take a quick pause. If you're finding this useful, make sure you're following the podcast so new episodes land automatically for you. Everything here is about developing a skill, and the more you listen, the sharper it gets over time. And if you're listening on Spotify, you can also subscribe to get exclusive episodes, early access, and video versions where you can actually see the words we're analysing on the screen. That extra layer makes a real difference if you want to go deeper. Right, back to it.
Well, if you're trying to explain that her head might hit the dash or her drink, there's nothing that caused the car to stop suddenly.
Well, I think that would have been when I put it in reverse.
And that's not going to have enough force to do anything because...
Right. And the only possible thing that I can think of that when she, I don't know. I don't know. I can't. I'm not I'm not a crime scene guy. I'm not a.
You're not a crime scene person, but you were there.
But if I was going to try to do something to my wife, I sure in the hell wouldn't have done it like this. To put somebody through misery and pain like that. There's no way in hell I would have ever. I've got 50 guns sitting in my cabinet. I've got so many things, and we had no fight. There was absolutely zero fight. We had absolutely nothing.
Sometimes in moments of anger, they can turn into rage, and those things just all of a sudden, yeah, you get guns and this there, but...
I'm telling you, there was no anger, there was no rage.
If Todd serves any purpose in your life, then please let it be not to use the word absolutely, or when you hear it, realise someone could be having you on. The detective puts to him, well, if you're trying to explain that her head might have hit the dash or her drink, there's nothing that caused the car to stop suddenly. Todd says, well, I think it could have been when I put it in reverse. And that's not going to have enough force to do anything, says the detective. Right, says Todd. And then he carries on. And the only possible thing I can think of that when she, I don't know, I can't, I'm not a crime scene guy. I'm not a... Did you spot the crime scene guy bit? That's the bit that I got. Not an accident reconstructor, not an expert in forensics. I'm not a crime scene guy. A leak that he knows there's a crime scene to be analysed here, in my view. The leakage is coming out this guy here and him talking about there being a crime scene. Also there, the only possible thing I can think of, so he's got a possible thing he can think of in his head, and then he doesn't want to say it. The only possible thing I can think of that when she, I don't know. Well, wait a minute. A moment ago, you were thinking of one possible thing, and now you don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I can't. Oh, Todd. But if you're not a crime scene person, says the police, but you were there. But if I was going to try to do something to my wife, we've got these concepts again about doing something to your wife, I sure in the hell wouldn't have done it like this. Again, not like that, which is when someone puts a scenario to you and you say, no, I don't want to do that because it's imaginary, because it's far away from you. When you say, I don't want to do this, you're doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're on a night out and you're not having a great time, you don't say, I don't want to do that. You say, I don't want to do this. If someone puts something to you, do you want to go out on Saturday night? You'd say, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do this. He's talking about something that he has experienced there with that this. To put somebody through misery and pain like that. So somebody, not his wife, just somebody talking in general terms, and through misery and pain like that. He is talking about the fact that he has experienced her death because he is talking about the misery and pain that would have happened. In the other scenario, she was hit by a pipe coming through the windshield. He experienced all of that in his words, so he would be able to talk about that. But the way they're talking about it, he would not know misery and pain because he hadn't experienced it. But he's saying there was misery and pain involved in her death. There's no way in hell I would ever have. I've got 50 guns sitting in my cabinet. I've got so many things, and we had no fight. There was absolutely zero fight. There's that word, absolutely. We had absolutely nothing. The detective interrupts. Sometimes in the moments of anger, it can turn into rage. And those things just all of a sudden, we get the guns there, but I'm telling you, there was no anger and no rage. So once more, he is just saying what wasn't there. He's not really helping us out with what did happen. So here, the crime scene line. I'm not a crime scene guy. Huge giveaway to me. Also talking about like this, which is something that he's experienced, something that he's been involved in. Plus, look, if you're going to deny shooting your wife, I would have shot her instead, is not a great denial of that. It's just showing that you have thought and you have thoughts of killing your wife. Now, this guy, you can see the stress levels ramping up inside him, and it is about to unravel for him big time. Just listen to what he says in terms of qualifiers in this last excerpt.
We've got samples. We're going to have skin samples underneath Barbara's nails. I'd be willing to bet that you...
And could it be...
Because she gave you a hug?
No. Come on, guys, let's be real, okay? That's my wife we're talking about.
I know. We want the truth.
I'm trying to give you the truth. I'm giving you everything I can tell you. I wish I could tell you. I'm telling you.
So we're going to have skin samples underneath her nails.
Okay.
You're willing to bet that?
Okay. And could it be when I lunged over to her side of the car? Could it be? I'm just asking. Could it be from then? Because I don't remember.
How that happened, tell me.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I lunged down to the, I don't know.
Lunging across is how is that?
Could she have reached out for me? Could she have reached out for me? And
So you're saying that she would have reached out and scratched you in the neck?
I don't know. That's what I'm not saying.
Okay.
I'm just asking you, could that be a possibility of what that would be? Because I told you I didn't have them going into the accident. I told you that.
Okay.
Not lying there. I did not have those going into the accident. I told you that. I'm trying to figure out how I could have got them. Is what I'm trying to figure out. What scenario could have got me them? Could she? And I don't.
You're grasping at straws.
You grasping at straws? You sure are. We're going to have some skin samples underneath Barbara's nails, says the detective. I'd be willing to bet that you... Now, statement analyse him there. He's not saying that we've got these samples and we know that your skin is underneath her nails and that there was a fight. He just throws out there, I'm willing to bet you're in there. Joe Pesky, Todd falls for it. And could it be... The detective says, because she gave you a hug, and he says, no. Come on, guys, let's be real, okay? I'm not ready for talking. We want the truth, says the detective. And Todd says, I'm trying to give you the truth. I'm giving you everything I can tell you. And this is what I mean by qualifiers. He doesn't say, I'm giving you the truth. He says, I'm trying to give you the truth, which is very different from giving you the truth. I'm giving you everything I can tell you. Again, the concept there is things are being held back. Not, I'm giving you everything. I'm giving you everything I can tell you, and I'm trying to give you the truth. He's not being truthful at all. And the detective does a little bit of statement analysis on him and says, trying. And he says, I wish I could tell you. I'm telling you. I wish I could tell you. I bet at this point he is thinking, I wish I could just say everything that happened, because this lying business is damn hard. The detective goes back to the skin. So we're going to have some skin samples underneath her nails. I'd be willing to bet that. And again, he doesn't finish off and say, I'd be willing to bet that what? He says, okay. And could it have been when I lunged over to her side of the car? So again, this is much later on in the interview, and he's still talking about lunging over towards Barbara, you'll notice. Lunge over to her side of the car. There's something very, very noticeable in the fact that he keeps talking about being at her side of the car. Could it be, I'm just asking, could it be from them? Because I don't remember. There's a lot you don't remember, Mike. Tell me how that happened. Tell me, says the detective. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I lunged down to the, I don't know. This is what I mean by unraveling. Tell me how it happened. I don't know. I mean, I lunged down to the, I don't know. Now, you'll notice, I don't want to be too gruesome here, but think of the mechanics of a pipe coming through the windshield and killing Barbara. It's going to come sort of his level of height, but he says he lunged down, which suggests to me that there was something going on where he lunged down at his wife. Lunging across, is that how, says the detective? Could she have reached out for me? Could she have reached out for me and... Yes, she could have reached out for you. Maybe when she was fighting you off. I think the truth is there in the words that she reached out because she was fighting you off at some point, Todd. So you're saying that she would have reached out and scratched you in the neck? I don't know. That's all I'm saying. I'm just asking you, could there be a possibility because of what would be? Because I told you, I didn't have them going into the accident. I told you that. I didn't have them going into the accident. I told you that. Is that the scratches on his neck? Is he now saying they came from his wife? Is that what he's talking about here? Because I didn't have them going into the accident. I told you that. Not lying here. I did not have those going into the accident. I told you that. So he's going into this accident a hell of a lot. What was the accident though in his head that he's talking about now? Is this when he accidentally killed his wife? Because no one really means to do it on purpose. Was it, a fit of rage or something? And he says twice, I told you that. Liars love to point out how consistent they've been because they think it makes their lie more believable. So it's not just enough for them to be consistent. They will tell you that they've been consistent by saying things like, I told you that. I'm trying to figure out how I could have got them, is what I'm trying to figure out. I bet you are. You're trying to figure out this great storyline. What scenario could have got me them? Now, you'll notice there he's talking about scenarios here. Not what happened, what could have happened that I got them. It's what scenario could I have got them. Think about, you ever had a bruise in your leg and you can't remember where you got it from? This is the question you say out loud. I'm trying to think of what scenario could have caused that bruise. Or is your question out loud, I'm trying to think how I got that bruise. Scenarios are made up things. I'm trying to work out what scenario could have got me them. Could she? And I don't. And I think it's a great place to leave it with the detective saying to him, you're grasping at straws. So there's Todd. It's all over for him there. I think there's so many indicators of lies, from the basic ones like the use of the word absolutely, the stutters, the restarts, but inside his language we see leaking like the crime scene and doing this and so on. That says to me, yeah, he killed his wife, Barbara, very sadly. I think he's doing time for it now. And like I said, if you want me to look at the trial and this him telling the story, especially under cross-examination, because that's where some of the really good stuff usually comes out, do let me know in the comments if you want some more from Todd, or I'll see the signals like lots of likes and lots of views for this episode says that there's an interest in doing some more on the lies of Todd Kendhammer. NeverAtruerWord.com is the website. If you go there, you will find a whole load more podcasts. You could also sign up for the newsletter if you want, which comes out once a month and enables you to just learn a little bit more about seeing the truth and the lies and the motivations of someone when they're talking or when they are writing. You'll find out how to sign up for that and a whole load more at NeverAtruerWord.com. And I'll see you soon for something new from Never a Truer Word. And remember, the truth is always inside the words.